the bag worker out of apartment 5B.
You're now tuned into the Apartment 5B podcast, where we chop it up about hip-hop, R&B, sports, love and life. Hosted by Kill.
What's good? You two in Apartment 5B, hosted by your man, Kill. Yo, I got my squad with me today. I got the No Knock Off radio crew with me, man. Yo, I always love bigging up other podcasts that talk about hip-hop, that teach about hip-hop, where folk can learn about the culture, because I'm always telling people have asked me about different podcasts, they like competition. I'm like, bruh, if you moving my culture forward, there's no competition. Like, that's what we're supposed to be doing. We're supposed to be supporting each other. And when I always say we have to talk about our culture before other people say it. And when people hear me say that, they think I'm talking about black folk. I'm talking about anybody who loves the culture. Black, white, Puerto Rican, I don't care which you are. If you love the culture, we have to be the ones telling the story to move it forward versus somebody else coming in and telling our story. So for me, I always love rocking with other podcasts. My man Vegas and Tone with That Time in Hip Hop. My man Mike with his Speak Your Clout podcast. And of course, my family right here, the No Knock Off radio crew. I got my man Harlem Fresh. What's going on, good brother?
Yo, salute my G. You know, Harlem Fresh 125 all day, every day. Even when I'm out of state, I'm in the New York state of mind. Yo, it's a pleasure to be here again. It's definitely dope. Now, I mean, I agree with you 100%. We don't talk about competition. If anything, we talk about allies. Now, I mean, we got to bridge the gap. Ain't no reason to hate on the next man. Let's big each other up and move forward so they see it's power in numbers and we move as a force. Now, I mean, we all bringing dope ideas and fresh new flavor for the table. So I salute you, Kill, on Apartment 5B, and I appreciate you having me and my crew up in here. Now, I mean, that's definitely a fact. You heard?
It's all love. It's all love. I got my man Robbie. What's going on, fam?
What's good, y'all? Went digging earlier, went through all my records. We got a good topic for you guys today, so stay tuned.
No doubt. I got my man Rocker, who brought the topic to the table in the first place. What's going on, fam?
Yeah. Yo, man, like, I've read so many biographies, looked at so many documentaries. I got so many CDs and albums that I've read for the liner notes and credits so many times. I know the personnel from the musicians, DJs, engineers. It's like in the back of my head. So I figure, why not just, introduce this, topic and see where it goes.
All right, no doubt. Now, for a lot of younger folk, because I'm always shocked that there are people who have been born post-2000 who follow me, but it's a blessing. But we're talking about liner notes today. Now, somebody out there may say, Kill, what is a liner note? Let me help y'all with that. A liner note would be back in the days when you actually bought a CD, you'd open up the cover and it would tell you who produced what. Get this right with the lighting, who produced what, they may give you some pictures, they may show you the rest of the discography, and for me, I was always a liner note junkie. When I first started making beats back in 93, and I didn't know really what to dig for. It was like, yo, look at the back of Illmatic, let's see what samples had to get cleared, because it'll say contain samples of, and I'm sure that I know I'm not the only one how people got put on to jazz artists and people and stuff like that. We had to go digging and we'd be like, oh, that's what Primo used. Okay, let me start digging for dude. And then as you read the liner notes on the album covers, then you'd be like, yo, that was an ill bass line. Who the bass player? Okay, let me go buy some of his records. So the liner notes, I always looked at them as almost like being like on some old treasure map type thing. Like, like you follow these instructions and you follow it this way, you find your own, piece of vinyl to sample or whatever like that. So that's what liner notes are. That's what we're chopping it up about. Robbie, why don't you set us off, good brother? What is one of the joints? What's one of your 5 or top favorite album liner notes and why? What makes it stand out for you?
All right, my first one is simple. It's Diamond D. Sally Got a One-Track Mind. And the reason it's so dope, a lot of it was where I first saw it. I mean, obviously seeing this is like a classic song. You want to have this in your collection. Love to have Stun Spunts and hip hop, but that album goes for like well over $100, I think now. So that's a hard one to pick up. But there's a spot out here in Harrisburg called Second and Charles, and when you go digging, you have to like walk up a stage in the middle of the store. So me and my homie are digging through, looking for stuff to sample, and I found this, and I started reading through the liner notes, and he actually drops 2 names on the back of it for who the song's dedicated to. So Sally's dedicated to Benita and Lynette, the bums from the slums. And I just busted out laughing in the whole store, and everyone's just looking up at me like I'm crazy. And then I don't know, just a great memory that I have. So this is one of my top 5.
That's dope. And to me, the dopest thing about that, and I've been saying it all week from the hell I started saying that I like Chance the Rapper, is that I'm always telling people it should be about what speaks to you. You know what I mean? It should be about the memories that an album brings or a song brings, you know? So, you know, people seem to trip off of different things, but I'm like, bro, if it meant something to you and you know what I mean? It's a dope memory. Like, that's what hip hop, that's what music is supposed to be about. So that's definitely a dope one. What's up with you, Rocker? What you got on tap for us?
Well, this is Fear of a Black Planet by Public Enemy, and this album actually it has a lot of irony.
Rocker, come on, you still in mine, man? Really,
yo,
you really hit me in the head taking one of mine.
I would have put out the cassette. I would have put out via cassette, but I couldn't find it in time. I had this album on cassette. Yo, sorry, I didn't mean to step on your toes or anything.
Nah, it's all good, brother.
Yeah.
Don't minds think alike. Don't minds think alike, man.
In May of 1989, Professor Griff gave an interview to the Washington Post, and he gave an interview to Dave Mills, and they were talking about this book that Professor Griff had read, and it was something about how Jews run society and run the world, and it got picked up, and what he said was interpreted as being anti-Semitic. So this story got picked up in other publications, other news stations started covering it, and it led to Chuck D eventually kicking Professor Griff out of the group. And he was pressured by the anti-Jewish Defamation League. So this would have been August or September of 1989. Fear of a Black Planet came out in 1990. So it's strange that Professor Griff is pictured with the other members of Public Enemy. So it kind of confused people because, number one, if he's kicked out of the group, why is he pictured with Public Enemy as if he's still in the group? And also, if you look at the liner notes, I had never known the names of the S1Ws before, and some of these names are funny to me, like Agent Attitude, Supreme Master of Defense. You got Brother James 1, Minister of Information, James Bombs, Czar of Education, Brother Mike, Enforcer 19. It was like I'm thinking that these cats are gonna have Islamic names, have names that are a little bit more Afrocentric. But lastly, if you look at this portion of the booklet, either Chuck D, I don't know who wrote this portion of the liner notes, but they broke down the influential inspirations, the lyrical inspiration, and show inspiration. And I thought that was dope because they pay homage to their predecessors, Muhammad Ali, Bob Law, Minister Louis Farrakhan, Nation of Islam, Dick Gregory, Reverend Jesse Jackson, Black Panther Party, Gary Bird. And some of these names are recognizable, some of these names aren't, but I like that it forced some people to look up some of these names, learn who these people are, and why they influenced and inspired their art. So, Fear of a Black Planet.
That's dope. And even to piggyback on what you were saying, other things that Chuck had in here, and the reason these liner notes stood out to me was because he had in the shout outs. Because it's funny, number one, when you hit me with the topic, I was like, this is an ill topic. But I was like, damn, most liner notes are just like, yo, I want to thank my mom, God, you know what I mean? Like, so it was like, how do I find something that stands out? But me being the junkie I'm like, all right, I know some. And the thing that stood out to me about, Fear of a Black Planet was because he had the New School 8. And he was naming Brand Nubians, Kwame, Special Ed, Steezo, True Mathematics, King of Pressure, Q-Tip, Tribe Called Quest. Then he had the popular 14, Kid and Play, Redhead Kingpin and the FBI, Jazzy Jeff and the Fresh Prince, Tone Loc, Young MC. Then he'd have the Hardcore 17, Chill Rob G, Cool G Rap, the DOC, Tough Crew, Just Ice, King Son. Then he hits you with the Hall of Fame 17, Africa Bambaataa, Tila Rock, Curtis. I just like how he broke that down. He kept going with the Overseas Bombers, Disciples for the Future, the Super Producer 10, Peace to the Extra Strength Posse, the Sister Squad 22, just shouting out everybody. He even had the Sports Brothers in there. He got Charles Oakley, Jim Brown, Mike Tyson, he's shouting out everybody. So that just stood out to me to, kind of be like, yo, I'd never seen that before, where like he was giving credit to like, each, group of individuals, just seeing some of them names brought back a lot of memories. So that's a dope one. The first one, since you got me on that one, and this is going to be a funny one that most people may not understand, but I'm going with Beat Miners, Brace for Impact. Now, the reason why I'm going with this one is because I've been in so many discussions and arguments with producers who swear that they can tell, like, you put on a CD, they be like, that was made with the SP1200. That was made with the S950. And I'm like, yo, mofo, stop it. You do not know. You cannot tell me you can hear that that's an SP1200, that's an MPC 3000. They be like, yeah, I can tell. So the reason why I love these liner notes so much is because on each track, it tells you what was used to make it. Wow. So when I saw this, oh man, it was on. Like, it was like, yo, everybody come to the crib. Like, yo, let's go dig in. Let's go back to the crib and make beats. And it was like, yo, I'm gonna throw some stuff on. And I'd be like, yo, what's that? And they'd be like, that's an SP12, S950. I'm like, wrong. It's an MPC 3000. Nah, how you know? I'm like, bruh, it's right there in the liner. So that's why I love this so much, because in every song that I played, all the mofos got it wrong. All the people who was like, oh, I could tell SP snare and I could tell an MP kick, and I got every last one of them wrong. You know what I mean? And so that is why, to me, I love these liner notes. And by me being a producer, I wish more people would do more of that. I would love to know, like, yo, I made, now back in the day, like Pete used the SP1200, so it ain't gonna be too many. I use this and I use that. But by the Beat Miners, for a lot of people who may not know, most people think the Beat Miners is just Walt Evil D. It's Walt, Evil D, Baby Paw, Chocolate Tie. It's like 5 or 6 of them dudes. So it was dope to see, like, yo, this was produced by Chocolate Tie, who uses an MPC 2000 and S950, whereas this produced by Walt with an SP1200 Dolo, or this produced by Evil with an SP12 and S950. So that's why this is definitely one of my favorite liner notes joints. Robbie, what's another joint you got for us, good brother?
All right, I got two in pretty much the same vein that what you were going with here. So I got Bob James' Touchdown and Shadowfax's self-titled Shadowfax album. And the reason I picked these two, because I didn't want to just pick one album to kind of encompass this, because I couldn't find a perfect one, but it goes in line with what you were talking about. Like, this album, it goes through all the different equipment they're using. So like Bob James, like they don't just say like electric keyboard. It's Fender Rose, electric Yamaha grand piano, Oberheim polyphonic synthesizer, and then it goes through it. It's pretty specific about the stuff that they're using, which is dope. And I love albums like that. It being like a gearhead and a guy that spent a lot of time in studios studying with engineers, interning with engineers. That stuff's always dope to me, especially when they show the microphones and everything that they use. Because sometimes they do go that in depth, and I don't know. I love being able to like picture that and how it was recorded. And then Shadowfax just has a really dope little ending here, and it says this recording was made on a modified MCI GH16 recorder at 30 inches per second and mixed to a Studio Mark 3.5 2-track recorder using no noise reduction, limiting, or compression, which is, I don't know, that's just a dope throwback, because I don't know, there's very few albums you'll find made after like the 50s that doesn't have any like compression or limiting on it. Like Thriller would be another exception to Quincy Jones and his genius, but stuff like that always blows me away, and that's dope to see. So I wish hip hop would do stuff more like that. Like, I mean, you hear about things like somebody would be like, oh yeah, Wu-Tang used a AKG 414 EB on 36 chambers, but I feel like most of the time nobody really knows. So like stuff like that equipment wise would be dope, like that Beatminers album. I actually didn't know that about that album, so that was dope.
Yeah. And I'm with you, bro. I wish more hip hop, because you have so many dudes who are producers or engineers and studio junkies who like, that's why I miss liner notes so much. Like, it's great to stream an album, but then I'm like, all right, well, who produced this? So where was it mixed? Or, what studio was it used for? Like, for folk like us who care about those things, or what mic did they use? Like, yeah, I'm with you 100%. I wish more hip hop cats did that. Rocket, what you got up for us next, good brother?
The Roots Things Fall Apart album, and you know how you just mentioned how you wish in today's
Rocker, I'm done. It's like, my G, like, what are we doing tonight, bro? Like, go ahead, bro. Go ahead.
Yo,
I'm joking. It's all love. It's all love.
Yeah, and like they get, like, if you look at the liner notes, each song has a resume. I mean, it has an essay, and it reads like a college dissertation. You know what I mean? Like at first glance, I kind of thought that these liner notes, seemed kind of to me, it just seemed like they were trying to do too much by trying to come off as being academic or elitist. But what I love about these liner notes is that they talk about the inspiration for for each song. Like for the example, Act 1, Things Fall Apart. Questlove talks about how the dialogue was taken from Spike Lee's Mo Better Blues, and if you listen to the album all the way through and listen and read these liner notes and credits, you can get a sense of the recording sessions and get a sense of the vibe of how the music was recorded, and it's very extensive. You know what I mean? They didn't leave no stone unturned as far as giving credits to all of the composers, arrangers, and anyone that was involved in recording each song. And it's black as hell. You know what I mean? Like, this is a black album. This is an album of black music, and they emphasized it through and through.
Y'all can hear me?
Yeah.
All right, now, because y'all are educating me right now, because now, I mean, we all don't know everything. Y'all are educating me, and now that I see what the topic is and how it's going, if I wanted to look on the liner notes, and I need to catch up with y'all because y'all said about 2 albums already, I would want y'all, and I don't have them with me, if somebody could pull it up, or if they got the albums with them, can you please look at the liner notes on Dr. Dre, The Chronic, the first one, and can you please look up the liner notes on Michael Jackson, Remember the Time album? That's all I'm going to say.
I got Drake. What was it about the joint that you rocked with on here?
It's just the way the instruments, the way he the combination of the samples with the instruments, and then on some of the songs, you know, you got that bass line, and then you have that piano key play. I just wanted to know, like, what specifically was he using, or like the inspirations for that whole album. I know the vast majority of that inspiration was niggas just hanging out, smoking, now I mean, doing what they do and coming up with some ill bars. But I just want to know, like, as far as the musical side of it, what made Dre want to go in that direction to make those type of beats for that album?
I mean, a lot of notes, like, you got, you know, like, he's got, like, Colin Wolf, you know what I mean, his keyboards, bass guitar and bass keyboard, Colin Wolf, guitar, he has the players, but, you know, it's not really, like, breaking down, like, why, you know, he would go in that direction. I mean,
okay.
I could only assume, you know, with Dre, I think Dre just always kind of thought bigger than the average. You know what I mean? Like, I think his you know, his mind was thinking, yo, like, and because he had the budget, like, let's keep it funky too. Like, when you got money, you can do more. Like, so I'm sure if Dre heard a bass line, it's probably like, yo, I would love to get a live bass player in here and even get it even thicker. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You know, it may have been a thing too back in the day. You know, if you couldn't clear a sample, it was like, all right, you know, well, let's try to get somebody to replay it. Even though Chronic, this is like 91, you know, kind of before a lot of, well, is it before? Nah, because Daylight got sued by the Turtles for 3 feet, Biz got sued for, so it was a long nose time frames of trying to get around sampling clearance with bringing in live musicians to play.
Yeah.
That would kind of just be my assumption of why Dre wanted to go there to make the sound. Kind of like what Just Blaze started doing, really Bink started doing it first, was playing live drums over the program drums. So you get more rolls, you get more, you know, the drums just sound fuller doing that. You know,
it had more kick to it, more polish.
Right.
That reminds me of Hovey Baby from Blueprint 2.
Right. Hovey Baby. And like I said, Bink was one of the first people to really bring those time rolls into hip hop and everything. If you listen to the Rules back off of Jay's, you know, the Blueprint, Bink was really one of the first people who started doing that, and a lot of people picked up on it. Jake One, Justice League, of course, Just Blaze. You know what I mean? So that would be my assumption. Robbie, were you about to say something on that?
Just on the drum hits too. Eric Sermon had a bunch of stuff off of what is it, like Second Chances, his album after Insomnia. He had a bunch of like crazy stuff like that on there as well, where he'd use the note repeat. He's one of the first guys that used the note repeat a lot for drums, like on the 16th, like the third 16th notes on the MPC and stuff like that. But yeah, that's one of the albums that I wish they had more detail for, like we were talking about before, like the recording process and stuff like that. That would be interesting to know for sure, especially a classic album like that.
Definitely. And what about Michael Jackson, Remember the Time?
I'll have it.
There's some instruments on there, there's some sounds on there that are just crazy.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, that's good old Teddy Riley at work, man. You know what I mean?
That's Teddy Riley at his finest, huh?
That's good old Teddy Riley doing what good old Teddy Riley does, just making classics and making hits at the same time. You know what I mean?
And while we're on the subject, like Little Ghetto Boy from the Chronic, that's my favorite song from that album, because that flute coda, during the coda, there's a flute solo that is so emotive and it's so plaintive. It to me it was a great musical cat, you know, to end that song, because the song is so emotional, you know, especially the intro, you know what I mean? Like, you know, if you hear that intro and then it rolls right into Snoop's verse, and then, you know, then I don't know who sings the hook during Little Ghetto Boy, but Dre took an already soulful song and somehow made it even more soulful and even more haunting, which is genius to me.
Yeah, no doubt. I'm gonna stay on the Roots joint with you. Same thing with Things Fall Apart. Again, I want to hear how it came together, hearing how Dynamite came together, and Quest and Common and all them went to Detroit. You know what I mean? you just sit down with Dilla and cook that up. Like all the stories was dope to me. And so I had that, but then I also had it tied with Philadelphia. And the reason why I love the liner notes from Philadelphia, because everybody's giving their shout outs. And then Quest basically has a whole diary on how the album was made. And, you know, it's basically just a story. Like, you know, he's like, the album came out in January. It's only June. Do we really need to start now? July 95. Why aren't our only day off in Amsterdam or all places am I going to the studio? You remember what you did in Soundcheck, Mal? Why not? This must be the only studio in the world with no click track, automatic board, EQ, or long distance. Mal and Reek said my church drum bell sounded like Murder Was the Case. I didn't say y'all sounded like Queensbridge. I just said I could hear the influence. Man, these shit sound whack. August 95. Yeah, Dawn. Just come down for a week or two, do some vocals, and I'll fly you back. I need my SP 1200 back right now. Rich, how many niggas coming to the studio? What did he do with that line? How much is the bail? What? Kilos on my ass for sound too much like a computer. So he's just reading down how the album got made. Through, I think somewhere in here, Malik gets locked up, and like, how much is the bail? And you know, y'all, like, I just love hearing those behind the scenes stories, like the little riff between him and Reek. Like, yo, I ain't say y'all sounded like Mobb Deep. I just said I could hear the influence, and kilos on my ass for sounding like too much like a drum machine. So I just love the fact that he kind of gave you the whole diary breakdown of how the album was made, the ups, the downs. You know, I think one part is he was like, yo, I quit. I'm not even in the group no more. This is my group. I started it, and y'all telling me my drums ain't good. Then he's like, I'm back. You know, so I just enjoy those stories. And it's funny because between these liner notes and Things Fall Apart, to me, I kind of saw that it's no shock to me that Quest is an author now, you know, because you could tell he likes to write. Like, you know what I mean? Like, again, everybody else is just like, hey, shout out to mom and dad, shout out to Philly. And here comes Quest with like a 5-paragraph diary on how the album was made. So it's only right. Like, these were like the liner notes to me were like the precursor of him doing exactly what he's doing right now, you know, with his books and everything like that. Another joint I had was, and it's more so the company, and the company is called Rhyme Sayers. You got this independent hip hop company out of Minnesota called Rhyme Sayers, and the thing that I love about them is the time and the ideas they have for their album covers and their liner notes. So like, this is Jake One and Freeway's The Stimulus Package album, and it's a wallet. You know what I mean? So the CD is in the wallet, and the liner notes are the money. You know what I mean? So the money, you gotta take them out the wallet, and you know,
that's dope. That's dope.
Yeah, like the huge dollar bills, they have all the information on them. So you know, it's like, you know, and then on top of that, it's got the words to it too. You know, so before, boys and girls, before there was Genius, okay, like you had to sit there and learn the lyrics, or sometimes the MCs would print out the lyrics for you, and that's kind of like how it was with this. So to me, this is just, you know, crazy original. I don't know who came up with the idea, but it's a dope idea, and I don't know. I mean, to me, they pulled it all flawless, you know, with the way they did it. Another Rhyme Sayers album I love, Dilated People's last album, Director of Photography. Because when you open it up, you got the little case flipping, you flip this open, and the liner notes are all Polaroid pictures. You know what I mean? So on the back of each Polaroid is the liner note of, you know, where it was recorded and everything like that. And I just thought like, yo, this is such a dope idea. Just, you know, evidence from the group is a photographer, so I'm assuming these are all his joints. The shots are dope, you know, and just the idea itself is dope. So, you know, nothing really special in the liner notes. I mean, the regular who engineered it, you know, stuff like rap nerds like me care about, but it just really was dope to me how they, you know, flipped it and came up with the idea to do it like this. So that's one of my joints. Robbie, what you got for another one of yours?
First left one to get ready. I'll probably hear an echo from somewhere, but okay, it's gone. Good. Next up, I got BB King live in Cook County Jail. This is kind of a classic blues album, and the liner notes are really dope to me because it goes really in depth on the history of the jail. If I could just read a couple of the lines from it.
Read it, bro.
Yeah, jail, very simple, is one hell of a place to be. In 1968, when the Illinois Crime Commission and a prison reform group, the John Howard Association, investigated Chicago's infamous Cook County Jail, they called it a jungle. And just some background on the jail, I did some research on it. They were like, it's one of the first places where the electric chair was implemented. They had 67 electric chair electrocutions, they killed a lot of people there, died and stuff like that. And then he goes into like everything went as a former inmate. Anything from heroin to whiskey to Italian food was sold and traded in the jail. Homosexual rape, bribery, and murder were the bill of fare. And he added sourly, no one seemed to give a damn. And then it talks about how a black psychologist named Winston E. Moore was appointed warden to the jail. And then after a couple scandals resulted in the dismissal of the previous warden, he was promoted. And in his first day, they removed 3 refrigerators from mafia-occupied cells and collected over 200 weapons and a bunch of drugs. And then it talks about how his role in trying to gain control of the prison and trying to raise, I guess, the status of it. But then it goes into how it was reformed, and then it keeps mentioning how many inmates were at the jail at the time, 2,117. And then it talks about how the psychologist that became the warden, Winston E. Moore, met with B.B. King, and they said they were talking about why not do a concert in the prison for the prison mates to try to raise morale and stuff like that. So it's a pretty dope concept. He performed, and the liner note ends with Jeffrey Harding and the 2,117. And I tried to find anything I could in this guy, and I couldn't find anything. So the way that they write it, it almost sounds like they got one of the inmates to write the liner notes, because I couldn't find anything on him on Discogs or anything like that. It just had his name, and this was the only album he was ever associated with, and they didn't have anything else about it. So it's kind of dope because it goes into the history of the prison, which isn't something I would ever know about if they didn't have the actual liner notes. So that's pretty cool, and it's one of the most famous albums. The album itself is in the Blues Hall of Fame and stuff like that, but the jail's also still pretty prevalent. I think it's like the largest like state or single housed jail or something like that. I looked up, and in 2008 it was reinvestigated, and they found 8 violations of the 8 amendments. So it's still like a place of debate and controversy all these years later, because this was recorded in 71. So it's pretty dope history piece. Yeah,
that's dope. That's definitely a dope pick. Good looking for that. Rocker, what you got, good brother?
Well, I'm gonna try not to take none of your picks.
You pick another one of mine, Rock. Yo, come on.
Yo, if I pick another one,
I'm joking.
pick the same album, yeah.
All love. What you got, bro?
Well, this album is this group's third. It's the group's second full-length album and third overall. Bone Thugs and Harmony, The Art of War. And the thing about these liner notes is that they took, The Art of War is a play on the Sun Tzu. The title is based on the Sun Tzu book, but the liner notes, they're trying to. The album cover is each member as warriors. They're dressed in war paint and dressed in swords and other weapons. But there's one image in this book that made me think, are these like what? I couldn't get past this image for the longest time, and it was this image right here. Like, what the, like, I didn't understand what would, like, I have an idea, but like, this was a wild picture to take. And
yeah, that's crazy. That's crazy right there, yo.
This is Busy Bone. He looks like he's possessed by an evil spirit. He looks possessed, like I don't know what kind of weed he was smoking that will make him take this pick, but and if you look at the pictures, you can see how gothic the illustrations are, and you can see how how the members, they look, they look ominous. But if you look at the liner notes for Busy Bones, you know how during the shout out, during the credits, each member give a shout out. If you look at Busy Bones, thank yous, he only says one sentence, and it reads, "Rest in peace, may murder be the only separation." I had no, I was trying to understand, what did that mean? But at any rate, one last thing about this album is that I love how the group is rhyming, their rapping is at their all-time peak. But here they are rhyming about murder, violence, and all of this shit. But yet, the members are talking about thanking God. You know what I mean? And if it was, Lazy says, thanks to the Lord blessing me and my thugs. Thanks to Bone Thugs, yada yada yada. I'm like, it reminds me of how when rappers go to award shows and the first person they think is God after all of the hardcore shit they talk about. It's I just couldn't reconcile that, But yeah, this isn't their best album. Their best album was the album that came before East, 1999 Eternal, and it had the hits, of course, Look Into My Eyes, The Joint with Tupac, Thug Love, If I Could Teach the World. This is their peak. After Art of War, their releases became more scatterbrained. They never recaptured the magic of their first 3 releases, and shortly after that, they they continued to make music, but they lost their relevance. So yeah, the Art of War album.
All right, no doubt. One of the joints I got up, I'll do 2 of these joints because it was both similar to Rhyme says, it was done through BBE. And that BBE back in, I guess this is 2001 or 2. A label from overseas was giving a lot of producers, the leeway to do production albums, you know what I mean? Kind of like a Pete Rock Soul Survivor album. So Pete did one, Jazzy Jeff did one, Dilla did one. But with the Jazzy Jeff one, again, it's similar to kind of like what we talked about earlier, of just basically how the songs got made. So for each one, you get a breakdown of how each song got made. And the reason this was so dope to me, because it kind of out of DC is a crew called Low Budget, and this was the first time I'd ever heard any of their names. Cats like Kev Brown, Kenwood, Odyssey. To me, I know for me was the first time I heard their names was with this album right here. So again, just dope to sit here and read. I literally could read all day how songs got made. It's just one of the dopest things in the world to me. So Jazzy Jeff's The Magnificent Album, which is a very slept on album. I mean, I honestly give this 5 mics. It's funny, I run into a lot of people who never even knew Jazzy Jeff had an album out. But I love this album, especially when it came out. The other BBE album was Welcome to Detroit. Jay Dilla, who's my number 1 right there of all time. When you crack open these liner notes, Dilla does, similar thing. He's breaking down, how every track got made, Think Twice. He's we touching the Donald Byrd classic. Me and my man Dwele arranged this piece. I wanted to create something that sounds like a 7-inch record, also something that feels like it was in the 70s. You Smell Me, check it out. I think we did a pretty good job. Throughout the joints he's talking about, leaving drums open, because in production circles, it's funny when you talk about of sampling another producer's drums. And for people who don't produce, let me explain this. You can sample from this joint right here, Skull Snaps, Breakbeat, It's a New Day, one of the most famous breakbeats ever. Sampling from vinyl, cool. For a lot of people, sampling another producer's drums off of their record, not cool. So, and for years we get into this debate, and it was funny because he, who did Dead Presidents, had I think it was like a Jay-Z special or something, and he was showing how he recreated the beat for Dead Presidents. And he said, yo, for the snare, I got it from Tribes, Oh My God. And nobody had a problem with that. And I'm like, whoa, time out, flag on the fucking play. Because whenever I talk about sampling from a producer's drums, it's, oh my God, you can't do that. That's against the rules. He does it, and y'all mofos don't say nothing. It's like, oh, okay, he got it from Oh My God. So the thing that I liked about Dilla with this is he would say things like, yo, I left the drum open at the end, so, you know, y'all producers could snatch those up. And I thought it was dope that Dilla was like, yo, y'all can, it's all good. Like, this is just part of the game. Like, you know, because somebody would be like, well, OG, what's the difference between sampling off a record and sampling off a producer? And I get it. I mean, here's a story. I want to say this story is true. Don't quote me because I didn't hear from the person. I heard it through life. But supposedly, Diamond had beef with Mr. Walt from the Beatminder because he thought Walt used the drums to Bucktown. Was like he may have left them in the studio, and like supposedly like Walt had to show him the actual vinyl for him to be like, oh, okay. Like, that's how serious people are about sampling their drums. So again, I just thought it was cool that Dilla, I mean, at this time, he was one of my favorite producers. You know what I mean? At this point in time, I think he's the GOAT. Would be like, you know, it's cool. Like, I left the drums open for y'all. Like, it's all love. Take them. Like, it's all good. Because I used to wonder that too. Like, yo, I get an instrumental of your joint and the drums is open, I'm taking your drums. You know, it's just what it is, you know? So I thought these two albums, so check them out. If you never, most people have heard Welcome to Detroit because, you know, the world loves Dilla. But a lot of people may not have heard this Jazzy Jeff joint, so definitely check those out. Robbie, what's another joint you got for us, good brother?
All right, next up I got Funky Technician. This is, I don't know, as far as the credits goes, it's just kind of like your typical hip hop credits. They just list like 800 dudes that are around at that time, like everybody from like Africa Bambaataa to Hank Love to Biz Markie. So as somebody that was born in 95, obviously I don't know most of these people, so it's fun to go through here and try to find as many of them as I can and what their contribution to hip hop was and that kind of a thing. But it's also dope because it kind of paints the picture to a scene that like people from my generation completely missed out on, which would be the original like early days of hip hop where everybody was interconnected. It was like a tight knit community. It was cool, a lot more like brotherhood type of a situation. So that's just kind of a thing that's what I wish we had the most that today's day doesn't have. So we don't have like any like meetup spots or anything like that.
You know what? I feel the exact same way. Growing up in the 80s and reading these liner notes, you saw every rapper shouting out everybody. Right. You know what I mean? Like you would hear, I want to say in Kane's, oh God, hold up, I got the album right here.
Another Victory?
Yeah, man, you in my head tonight, Robbie. You didn't want it tonight. But yeah, Another Victory where he said something like, Big Daddy Kane is cool with rappers like today, like Kid and Play. Even my man LL Cool J, Stetsasonic, and EPMD, Public Enemy, and BDP. Something, we gotta stick together like. So Robbie, I feel you 100%. If there's something that I miss in hip hop and I wish it could go back to, was those days of unity. This was a story, and I want to say KRS helped Big Daddy Kane move, and then after they moved, Kane, Miss Melody, and KRS sat there and watched The Color Purple. Like, this is how rappers rock with each other. Like, yo, like, yeah. I'm like, yo, wait a second, y'all watch The Color Purple? Like, yo, we watch The Color Purple. Like, yo, like, that's dope. Like, you know, that there was that unity, or even people who did know about the Roosevelt. It was a hotel in New York, and they used to have record conventions up there at the Roosevelt that were, you know, infamous, and cats would go digging together. Cats would go on digging missions together. We just did a show on Extra P, like on Just Hanging Out. Like you said, yo, I'll be chilling, you know, with Pete Rock making beats that's sharper than cleats. Like, yo, these rappers used to hang around each other. I want to say the Beat Nuts said, yo, Juju may have got his first NPC from, you know, cats with lend equipment out. Like, it was just a love with hip hop back then that I've been in people's houses and they'll have an NPC sitting on the floor and don't even think to ask to borrow it because they ain't letting you hold it. You know what I mean? Like, cats won't even let you borrow their iPhone nowadays, you know. Yeah. But back in those days, it'd be like, yo, let me explain something to cats because people don't get it. An SP 1200 in 1990, you talking $3,000. Like, you talking, do I want to get a car or a drum machine? So to let somebody just hold your drum machine, like that's like somebody just saying, yeah, take my car for a couple of weeks, you good. Like, that's the extent of it that, like y'all said, like hip hop used to be like that. It's not anymore. So Robbie, I agree with you 100, 150, 100, whatever percent on that.
Yeah. That's dope that you mentioned that Kane interview because I was actually watching that earlier today at work where he was talking about how he wished he got the KRS-One battle instead of the Rakim battle because he thought they were more comparable. Then he went into how KRS-One and him were friends and how him and Miss Melody moved out, helped him move out of his parents' house for the first time. So that's dope.
Yeah, no doubt. Rocky, what you got, good brother?
Well, this is my Deep Hell on Earth album, and to me, what I love about this album, especially, the liner notes and credits, is Prodigy's shout-outs. Like if you read these, shout-outs, man, like if you read it in Prodigy's voice, it's like I want to know who these dudes are, man, because like he devoted at least 3 paragraphs, shouting, these people out. Like Stobo, Sean, Carrie, Ken, and Crip, Dirty Harry, Money No, FAM, Kev, Big Drew, Old Dog, Torrin, Money You, yada yada yada. But then, like he mentioned, further down the line, notes, he says, Bill Cosby in parentheses, never banging. And I'm like, like they have the dumb language, but I just want to know, like, what the hell did he mean by that? Like, I mean, it's ironic, given where Bill Cosby is now, but I just thought that was always, funny that Prodigy, mentioned Bill Cosby and then in parentheses never banging, and then further down the liner notes, he gives names for Mobb Deep fans in each borough, in each city. Like he has the Bronx Mob, he has the Manhattan Mob, the Virginia Mob, the Jersey Mob, the Chicago Mob, the Chicago Mob, so on and so forth. And I thought that was dope how he gave mob titles, to each hood, acknowledging the major players, in both cities, in hip hop and in the streets. But then further down the liner notes, he writes Bill Cosby and in parentheses never banging. So for the longest, I was like, does Prodigy know something that we don't know? Because I thought this is the same guy that was talking about secret societies and Illuminatis and just seeing where Bill Cosby is now. I just thought maybe, Prodigy knew something that we didn't know, but then yeah.
How do you know he meant Bill Cosby from the Cosby Show, my nigga? It could have been somebody from the streets. They just called Bill Cosby, man. You wild.
or never banging could mean like he didn't rape those women that that he got sent upstate for.
Yo, if
what I mean?
About Bill Cosby in 1995.
Yeah,
we lost the profit on that, bro.
Prodigy, he was called the Prophet. You know what I mean? So maybe he foresaw like 2 decades into the future. Bill Cosby's defense.
I can't call it. I got my man left-handed with us, man. What's going on, good brother?
Peace. What's going on, man? Everything is everything, man. I'm just trying to, be here and represent and all that, man. Tired as you know what. But I'm in the building, man. I'm here repping my no knockoffs radio crew and all that. And here in apartment 5B. I like how you decorated the place. It's all good.
Alright. You got any liner notes for us, good brother?
I got a couple, man, off the top, man. You know how I give it up. First, when you said liner notes, I'm like, wow, that's kind of something that doesn't really ever get talked about. You know what I mean? And when you say liner notes, I think Public Enemy, they had, they always had the lyrics to all the joints, on the liner notes. But I'm gonna hit you with this one, Kill. Parliament Funkadelic. You want to go liner notes? You want to talk about shit that you don't know what the hell is going on?
That's a great pick.
You know what I'm saying? You want to know
what's the inspiration behind
what was they smoking? You know what I'm saying? But I think that, even as a little kid, I'm going to talk to you from a little kid, when I was a little kid looking at these things. Like, what the hell is this? Like, the first, not like Mothership Connection and nothing like that. I'm talking about the joint that had never learn to swim, not catch the rhythm of the stroke. That album, man, it was like the cartoons and all that stuff that's on the album. Now as we get okay, Psycho Alpha Disco Beta Bio Aquadulu. Okay, I remember that shit. And I'm looking at the album cover, and you look at the cartoons on there, and now as I'm older, OG now, older cat, I'm like all these sexual references and all that. And every time I looked at that album cover, I saw something different. I saw something new. You know what I mean? And so you talk about, album covers, liner notes and shout outs and things of that nature. When you want to take it to the hip hop chamber, I'm thinking like PE, Ultramagnetic had a crazy one, Brand Nubian, shout out there, Fear of a Black Planet, shout out. Their liner notes was always crazy. You know what I mean? They was thinking everybody under the sun, and I'm not mad at Chuck for that, man. You know what I'm saying? Yeah, no doubt. And back in the day, like for example, when Bum Rush the Show came out, they had a joint where you could, you could order like the PE T-shirts or whatever.
Yo, your joint breaking up.
They had stuff where you could order like the Public Enemy T-shirts and merchandise and things of that nature. So I think they were kind of like ahead of the curve. Those were the first albums that I saw with those actual things on it. But as far as liner notes that kind of, struck me and things of that nature, I just was looking for, when I was little, I was just looking for, something that could kind of like appeal to me. You know what I mean? Because I was a little kid, man. I didn't know what the hell I was looking at, especially with those Parliament album covers, man.
Can I ask you something less? Because I know you are a fan of this group. Yo, what about the liner notes in De La Soul, 3 Feet High Robinson? Is that the one with Saturday on it?
No. That's De La Soul is dead. Yeah, that's De La Soul is dead.
The liner notes in De La Soul is dead. They had the little comic strip in there.
Yes.
Wasn't that shit fire? Was that not fire or not?
I'm a big De La head, so everything, that was the joint, you know what I mean? That was popping, and I didn't even know you knew it, but there you go right there. Yep, there you go right there. Goddamn kill. There you go. That's right. Yeah, man. I mean, it was just a.
Hold on, Kill, you got it?
It's right there. He was just holding it up. Right there. The little comic strip right there on the 3. De La is dead. But yeah, man. That's another group that always had some stuff that you wanted to read and stuff like that. A lot of the Def Jam artists, their liner notes, was always crazy. They was always shouting out everybody, the mailman, you know what I mean? Everybody that they knew got some shine on those liner notes, man. But again, this is kind of like, kind of opening up my third eye to a bunch of other stuff. Because you never think about when are we going to have a discussion about liner notes. And this is dope. You know what I mean? Because you would read the liner notes, you would look for the who they're connected to, what producers they're shouting out, what other artists that they're shouting out, you know what I mean? Things of that nature. And then you try to read between the lines. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Yep. So
I'm
you hold that up
right now. Well, I'm getting educated right now. That's what I was saying.
Hold that up for me one more time. The comic strip. Yeah. Hold that up for me one more time, my guy. Yeah, that's it right there. There you go. Yeah, oh man. All right. Yep. Yep. That's right. That's right. And you know what though? I'm gonna tell you something else about that album real quick. That album, De La Soul is Dead. If you listen to the records on that album and you listen to what they're saying, and it's even in the skits, they're shitting on Arsenio Hall. They are shit, and I'm gonna tell Kill, you might know this. They're shitting on Arsenio Hall.
This is news to me. I'm all
yeah, Kill. Yeah, my guy. They shitting on, and I'm gonna tell you why. All right, and I might get a little emotional here because I'm a big De La Soul dude. I love De La Soul, right?
Shit.
Like when Kill and Fresh, you know, when Arsenio Hall show was popping, we would like whatever we doing at 11 o'clock, we would stop doing it and watch the Arsenio Hall show. Okay.
No doubt, hell yeah.
De La Soul was on Arsenio Hall. And you know how they used to announce it like maybe 2 or 3 days in advance and say, oh, De La Soul is going to be what? De La Soul? Yo, I'm not selling nothing. Don't beat me. Don't come by the crib.
I ain't selling. I don't.
I'm not selling nothing. I'm not. Yo, don't beat me. Don't come by the crib. Don't do none of that. And I'm gonna tell you verbatim. This is why I'm so upset. And this is why they shitted on Arsenio. That episode, Arsenio Hall show, it had Sylvester Stallone on there. Okay, he was on there for the whole entire hour. When does Arsenio do that? Arsenio usually has 1 or 2 guests. He has Sylvester Stallone on there for the whole hour, and he stuck De La Soul on at the end as the credits was going by.
Damn.
They stuck De La on at the end as the credits was well. So you listen to De La Soul is Dead, okay? And the stuff that they be saying about Arsenio, that whole album is dedicated to Arsenio Hall.
Wow, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, they shitted on Arsenio heavy. They shitted on Arsenio. They shitted on MC Hammer. They shitted on a lot of people. You know what I mean? And that's one of my and you ask me what's my favorite De La Soul album? I can't call it, man. I can't call it because I go to the Grind Date. I still listen to the Grind Date.
Hold on for a sec, because that's one of my pulls. Is the Grind Date joint, and the reason I love the Grind Date was because they're lining them.
Yup, they got the calendar. Yup, there you go. Yup.
And it was still because I'm reading this, and they
studio
like
sessions.
And they got Joey going here like, yo, studio time, or this the Europe tour, and I'm like, yo, real? Like, but like, you know, they got show in NC, showing Boston.
That's right.
Crazy.
They the Pell show taping. Like, so it was like, yo, this is so bugged that each month these dudes got that, and these are the liner notes. Like, just thinking outside the box. So
and you think I didn't have that in my cubicle? You think I had that up in my cubicle? Knock it off. Kill real quick. What's your favorite joint with the Grind Date? What's your favorite joint on the Grind Date?
Here's the wild part. I know everybody loves Rock Cocaine Flow. I love that, but my personal favorite joint is much more. I love how Dylan.
Okay.
LTD, Jeffrey Osborne sample with Primo in the beginning talking his shit and popcorn, microwave popcorn ass niggas. You know, you know, the way Dave come in and pop. That's my favorite. I love this album.
I'm gonna tell you my favorite joint. My favorite joint on the Grind Date, and it might bug you out, is Church. I just listened to that. I just listened to that joint like about an hour ago. Yeah. When Spike Lee comes on, and you know what I mean, and so I mean, I'm a De La head, and you know their liner notes are crazy. So you know, I can't front on that album. Ghostface Killer's on there, the joint with Flavor Flav. They got a joint with Carl Thomas. You know what I mean? So again, you know, De La Soul, I don't know why they don't get more props, but it is what it is. I'm a fan. I love De La Soul, man. Shout out to Paz, shout out to Dave, shout out to Vinny Merlot, DJ Maceo, the whole De La crew. But yeah, man, the liner notes in albums, I guess they strike a particular chord with you. You know what I mean? So, and I definitely dig it, man. Definitely.
Shout out to Rocco on that. This is topic. He the one who hit me up and was like, yo, liner notes. I was like, damn, okay,
Rockabad.
Had me digging, man. Like, but that's what it's about, man. One of the last joints I got Jake One's White Van Music.
Okay.
One,
yes, sir.
out of Seattle. Same thing. He's with Rhyme Sayers. You open it up. He's got the ill picture of him in the back of the white van with all the equipment out. Like, I'm like, yo, I love that. But then once you open the liner notes up, same thing like some of the other joints I was talking about, just him explaining how each track got made. So like, got a joint on here called The Truth, Freeway and Brother Ali. Like, Freeway actually recorded this for free at last at the very end of the project and couldn't pull it together to get Jay-Z and Kanye on the collabo as he planned. I went back out, put Brother Ali on it. The beat was recorded by way too many rappers. Nas, Elzhi, Young Book, and Trey all had something on it. You could have made a whole album sound clash off of one beat. You know, I love them stories because I'm like, well, where's the Nas joint on this? Where's the Young Buck joint on this? Like, I want to hear that. Like, you know what I mean? Or he got one of my favorite joint off this. If cats ain't heard this, Gangsta Boy with MOP, this is some Brooklyn MOP right here. And he tells this story. Did this beat with Malay in 06 sometime. I actually got the sample from my boy Todd Osborne from Detroit at a Red Bull getaway in Germany. See, I'm a nerd. I'm a rap nerd. I want to know stuff like that. Like, word, you was in Germany? Somebody, slid you the sample? That's ill. Then I got Melee to replay the sample because the copy of the 45 was sounding terrible, and I wanted to do an NWA sounding Dre tribute beat with it, put the drums and the scratches on it, and people were digging it. MOP ended up recording it for the Jew Unit album, and Shy plays it for me. I was loving the song, and then I was putting the album together, and I was like, I may be able to get this. So this is actually what the G Unit MOP album was gonna sound like. So like stuff like that. So like this song originally was gonna, people forget MOP was signed to G Unit. You know what I mean?
That's right.
You know, stories like that, you know, so and I mean he goes in depth. And I mean, this album, if cats haven't heard, I mean, everybody's on this album. Black Milk,
Bro is my joint.
Freeway, Brother Ali, D Black, Little Brother, Pasta Noose, MF Doom, Young Buck, Bishop Lamont, Buster, Freeway, Alchemist, Evidence, Prodigy, J. Penn, Blue
roster's loaded right there.
Yeah.
They got a joint on here called Glow with Elzhi.
That's my joint. In Roasted 5'9".
Yeah. You know what I mean? So again, I love them for that. Robbie, what's the last record you got for us for the night, man?
All right, my last one's a special one to me. It's Sun Ra and his Orchestra, Jazz and Silhouette. So when I first got into making beats, Madlib was the guy that I was into the most when I first got my MPC 1000. So I was studying him a lot and a lot of the stuff that he pulled from. And obviously Sun Ra's a pretty crazy guy. You know, he's always got those outfits on. He's got his like cult film where he's talking about taking people to another planet. It's crazy. You gotta watch it. But so like I would go through all the people Madlib named in Jazz Cats and stuff, and Sun Ra was the guy that I heavily gravitated towards. And the first beat that I would ever say that I like completely finished and was proud of was a joint off of Languidity, and that was the first time I ever performed was over that beat at my community college in Harrisburg, and so that brings me back to a really dope time. But I remember digging and seeing this. I normally don't buy re-releases, but this is the re-release to Jazz and Silhouette. I think these are two other covers. I think this was like the European one, and this is like this is like the American one. I think this is the European one for the initial release. And I don't think this is in the back, but the back actually has the lyrics to Shadow of Tomorrow by Matt Villainy, but then at the end it says by Sun Ra. So I've been doing a bunch of digging on, I did a bunch of digging on that, and I guess Madlib basically just rapped a poem that Sun Ra had wrote, and he had found it somewhere, because it's very hard to find information on this, because obviously if you just type the lyrics in, you're gonna find the song. But Matt Villainy was one of the albums I was bumping like as soon as I got into producing. I took off the instrumentals off that album, and I used to play it, and it would be the exact perfect amount of time of study hall in high school. So I used to run that album every study hall. I'd play that album through. So that's like the whole circle of me getting into things, at least production wise. It's like
I like the artwork on it too. I like
yeah. Sun Ra's always got some crazy stuff going on. So that's kind of like a full circle for me. Like my beginnings of sampling, performing, like just one of the first albums I fell in love with. It's like a concept album. I'm super heavy into concept albums, so that's like a whole cipher for me on like whole bunch of levels. So I love that.
Nah, go ahead, Lev.
No, I was just gonna say, like, what do you think, or have you ever, or do you have having liner notes with people that mention people that you know personally?
That mention people that I know personally?
Yeah, like for example, like on the Brand Nubian, All for One, it's a bunch of people on that album, that they mentioned on the album notes and the liner notes and the credits. And I know, like my man, shout out to my man Daff, shout out to a couple of other people, you know what I mean? Mark the Spark, you know what I mean? A couple of people, you know what I mean? And it's just bugged out to see, their names and stuff in the liner notes and the credits or whatever. But at the end of the day, man, I think that is the makes the personality of a record. You know what I mean? In addition to listening to, the music, like Kill said, it gets into the personal side a little bit. You know what I mean? They shout out people that you wouldn't probably even care about. You know what I mean? Like, oh, they know this guy, they know this person, and then they get personal with it. So it's dope, man, that, some people have, liner notes. The more exquisite, the better. You know what I mean? And again, some of them stick to you like 25, 30 years later, like the De La Soul is Dead or Parliament, Funkadelic or whatever. But it's bugged out when you see somebody's name in the line. Oh, I know this one. You know what I'm saying? Like, oh shit, okay, that's his man or whatever. But it's all good, man. So it's a good topic that you brought up, Rocker Bash. I appreciate you, man.
Yeah. I mean, it was.
I'm gonna put some line.
For me. It was education.
I'm gonna put some liner notes. I'm gonna put some liner notes on a cup of ramen noodles.
and I after what Les said, I have to shout out one of my professors. I interned with him for a while. He was an engineer at Sigma Sound for a few years. So okay. I do see it sometimes on albums.
Philly?
Yeah. Okay. I'm out of Harrisburg, and he started out in Philly. So he's Jake Pearson. You'll see him on some stuff.
Yeah. My man down at Sigma now, so that's dope. Rock, what's your last joint, good brother?
My last pick is the Heartbreak album by New Edition, okay. and this is significant because previous to New Edition, well, New Edition was the first. They were in the R&B singing group that had hip hop sensibilities way before Jodeci. And what's interesting is that if you look at the front cover, you see the members of New Edition dressed in suits, but the back cover, you see them, wearing, track suits, wearing Adidas, Jordans, and they're wearing, fly gear. And this was the album after Bobby Brown had left the group, and Johnny Gill was brought on board, to replace him. And the songs on this album is classic. Of course, everybody knows If It Isn't Love, Can You Stand the Rain, right. You're Not My Kind of Girl.
Classic.
Is any Heartbreak on there?
Yeah, it is.
Okay.
And if you look at the booklet, you see the members, you see how they dressed, and they also mention a lot of rappers. Like if you like the credits, they mention Eric B and Rakim. They mention Houdini, Jam Master Jay, Dougie Fresh, Heavy D and the Boys, LL Cool J. They mention who else? Houdini, Public Enemy, Cool G Rap. And it's significant because New Edition represented the changing of the guard, where an R&B group that can truly sing and truly has great harmonies, they conquered slow jams in R&B music, but now they are starting to use rap, in their songs. Like the remix of Any Heartbreak, that was the first appearance of Ronnie DeVoe and Michael Bivins rapping. Take it for whatever it's worth.
No. The wild part about that is the video was bananas. Like that's
Yeah.
That's right.
Everybody, Heavy D was in there. That thing, they had the little scooters that was out. Like, those
yeah.
Yo, the hammer pants, man. They was the first one to wear the stretchy pants.
That's the one when Brooke had them rehearsing, right? When they was all tired and they was rehearsing.
That's not if there's any love. Any heartbreak joint is where they like having a surprise party and they had them like just out.
Oh,
they're coming off tour.
Yeah,
right. Okay.
Yeah, that video is official.
Yo.
Right.
Yo, if you look at that any heartbreak video, there's a scene where you know the part where Johnny Gale starts lifting near the end, and I swear if you look at that video, you can see Ronnie DeVoe. He's looking like straight ahead, and it's almost like he's shaking his head like, "Damn, man, like this nigga is really going to really riff for 2 minutes." You know what I mean? Like it's a dance song, but like he's going full gospel preacher. Preacher, man.
Yeah, that's right. Like, he had to go in. Yo, could I slide something in there right quick since we talked about album covers and liner notes?
No doubt.
Can the Ohio players get some love?
Bruh, I was just about keep talking. I'm digging while you talk.
Can the Ohio players get some love?
I think where you going.
That's just
yes.
That's just
yes. The Ohio players. Yo, honey. You know, the joint where she's stabbing the dude I think that's the one where she stabbed him in the back on the other side. Yo, the Ohio players had, they didn't have to say much. They have to say much, you know what I mean? But they said everything in their album covers, man. So again, man, shout out to them. You know, and I think that even from a little kid, you know, I'm just remembering, you know, shit off the top, you know what I'm saying? As far as, you know, liner notes, because again, the thing about getting the 12 inches and the vinyls was that particular artists, they had the lyrics to the songs on the liner notes and in the joint. You know what I mean?
I got some joints for you, B. You got the
Okay. Oh man. Okay. Yeah, there you go. Yup. Stabbed them. There you go. Yup. And then they had they open up. Yeah. There you go. Yes, sir. Right. There you go.
Wasn't that album on Westbound Records?
Yeah, it's on Westbound.
Yeah, man. Westbound, they distributed Parliament Funkadelic too.
They always had the women on it. That's what always called.
Yeah. What?
That half naked women.
Right.
That was the original. Yo, those was the original. What was Ice-T's girl name? That was the original. He was the original Darlene.
Oh yeah.
Darlene.
The Power album.
Yeah, she was the original Darlene, the bald lady. Yeah, yo. So,
yeah,
this is crazy. Yep, fire. What? Come on now. You know what I mean? My mom was like, "Where's my record at?" It was in my room. It was in my room under my bed. Yeah, no doubt. Yup, no doubt. That's what it is, man. No doubt. Yes, sir. Indeed. Word up.
They start calming down a little.
Yeah, a little bit. They have the kids or whatever. There you go. Yep. Yep. That's right. Yes, sir. Lord have mercy.
I think they toned down after they went to Mercury, right?
Yeah, they toned down. That's why I said they started toning down around Gold.
Yeah, they started toning and making them PG a little bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because that was when. Violent. Yeah, because that was later on when Fire and Love Roller Coaster became hits, and they started becoming. They started doing stadiums, you know, rather than clubs.
No doubt.
Yeah, that's dope. All right, the last joint I got, kind of where Left Hand was saying, just off the pictures inside. Common, one day it'll all make sense. Like,
okay.
It was almost like just like a not a yearbook, like what you call a photo album. It was like
collage photo album. Yeah, that's right.
You got his man Seth. You know what I mean? Just you know. So I thought
that's fire.
Well, you know, you got a Young Com. You know, so I thought this was dope. And the last joint I got is this one right here, the main ingredient.
Yeah.
When you open this up, and I saw that SP 1200 and that S950, that's what let me know I need to go get an SP1200.
It makes it happen, no doubt.
That's what Pete Rock used to make his beats. And it's funny because I was just talking about it. I got this book right here that's on the SP1200. Like, and they interview like maybe 50 dudes who used it. Yo, I swear to you, if not at least 80% of these dudes all said the same thing. Like, yo, I brought an SP12 because I saw the back of Pete Rock album and he had an SP12. So that's it right there. The last thing I did want to shout out, I don't know if y'all remember, back in the day, XXL used to have a little column and at the end, and they would ask artists, like, ask the Jungle Brothers, like, how'd y'd make Jimbrowski or how'd you do whatever. It was written by my man Brian Coleman. Brian Coleman went on to write these books. His first book was called Rakim Told Me. And if you are a liner notes junkie, you have to buy these books. These books, he talks to everybody from Biz, the Jungle Brothers, EPMD, Ultramagnetic, DOC, and they all break down how their albums got made. You know what I mean? So this is a must read. Now, Rakim Told Me was the first one. Then they eventually switched them to call Check the Technique.
Right. Yes.
Check the Technique. And you got Check the Technique 2. You can see these books. These are thick books. You're gonna get dope stories out of these books. So for anybody out there who's a liner notes junkie, who wants to know how a lot of classic 80s and 90s hip hop got made, these are the books for you. I'm gonna just a real quick rundown of some of the books that are in. I mean, some of the albums that are in here, like with guys. So they talk about Third Base with the Cactus album, the Intoxicated Demon, Black Sheep, the Wolf and Clothing, Diamond D, Stunts, Blunts, and Hip Hop, Jazzy Jeffy, I'm the Rapper, the J. Rue, the Damager, the Sunrise in the East, KMD, Black Bastards, G-Rap, Wanted Dead or Alive. So all those classic albums, you're getting them step-by-step breakdowns on what happened and how they got made. So definitely, if you're a liner note junkie, check these joints out. Rock it. Give them all the information, good brother. Where can they get at you? Where can they hear? No knockoff radios, everything.
Yo, you can find me at Rockabash on Twitter, RAKABASH. Same thing on Instagram. You know, follow the follow us, on Facebook. You know what I mean? Fresh. You can tell us more about the link on the Facebook group.
All right, no doubt.
Yeah.
Fresh, you gonna give them all the information with the Facebook group?
Yeah, you can check us at No Knockoffs Radio. That's the Facebook group. We did it, we lit. I mean, the topics in there are endless. Join the conversation. You can also check us out on YouTube, No Knockoffs Radio. You can check us out on Twitter. You can find me at Harlem Fresh 125 or Fresh No Knockoffs. I mean, it's a beautiful thing. I'm grateful. I got a chance to fall back and take the day off, smoke, and get an education on this line of note information, because I never really looked at album covers and like where niggas originated or the origins for the lyrics or what they songs meant about like that. I just thought it was there. They were just
some extra shit,
and I was like, So I appreciate the time that we spent here with Kill on the 5B with this subject matter right here. I definitely learned a lot today, and holla at your boy Harlem Fresh 125.